Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great Thursday morning. I'm sorry I'm not there with you. Let's talk about the homework real quick. The key word for these was regular. And we talked about that real briefly before you guys took off. I don't know if anybody remembers or not, but the idea of a regular polygon means that all of the sides are congruent to each other in that polygon, and therefore all the angles are congruent in that polygon. And so we could go on to a different one and say all the sides of this one are congruent, all the angles are congruent. So all the interior angles are the same size and all the exterior angles are the same size. And so that's the key important thing about what in the world a regular polygon is. And so that's how we're able to solve this, even though, a lot of the problems we did, we were dealing with information on every angle, and here we only have information on one angle. That's enough because all the angles are the same size. And so we can do this. All right. I'm guessing that you probably got this pretty well figured out. And so I'm going to move pretty quickly through a lot of these. But on this one, if this is a regular triangle, that means all the angles are the same size. So I can take that 180 and divide it by 3 and make it 60 degrees. So therefore, y is 60 degrees. Now, x is an exterior angle, and so it's always going to be supplementary to the interior angle. So if the interior angle is 60 degrees, well, then x would be supplementary to that. So it would be 180 minus 60 degrees, which would be 120 degrees. Okay, so there's x and y for number one. Let's look at number two. Now, this was probably the weirdest problem. I'm not exactly sure why the illustrator wanted to use this problem, why they wanted to use a seven-sided figure. But you'd have to look at this and go, okay, I'm looking for the exterior angle. I know all the exterior angles add up to be 360. This has got 7 sides, so therefore n is equal to 360 divided by 7. Now, what an ugly thing to divide 360 by, but that's okay. If I kind of do some work, I get that n goes in 51.4 something degrees. Well, it's not equal to 51.4 degrees, but I could say that n is about 51.4 degrees, or I could say that n is exactly 51 and 3/7 degrees. That's the exact answer. Either way you go, I'm not going to get super picky at this point. I just want to make sure you understand the math that's going on here. Okay, and lastly, for number 3, that is a pentagon. It has 5 sides. We know that all the interior angles, we could kind of think about that and go, well, the interior angles, we're going to follow that formula, n minus 2 times 180, where n is the number of sides. So it would be 5 minus 2 times 180, which would be 3 times 180, which is 540. I've got 5 angles to divide that among, and so 540 divided by 5 ends up being 108. So which angle is 108? Is it A or is it B? Well, it would be the interior angle. And so the interior angle right here is 108, and then the exterior angle is going to be supplementary to that. So if I take 180, subtract 108, I get 72 degrees, and so that's what B would have to be. All right, let's move on to the next set. These were much more similar to what we had done, and honestly, these were like easier versions. All you had to do was count up the sides, think about what the interior angles would total, figure out what you're missing. Okay, so this first one's got 1, 2, 3. Oh, I shouldn't mark them that way, I guess, making it look as if they're congruent, and they're not. So I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. We just did that one. We said 5 minus 2 times 180 ended up giving us 540. So we know the total is going to be 540. Okay, so I say, well, the total is 540, and I've got x and 91 degrees and 160 and 180, right? I think that's all. Yes. And so what that ends up being is x plus, well, let's see here, 160 and 100 is 260, 80 more would be 340, and then 91 on top of that would be 431. So x plus 431 is 540. We subtract the 431 from both sides, and we get that x is equal to 109. All right, next one. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. 6 minus 2 times 180, that's 4 times 180, that gives us 720. So that's the total for this one is 720. So I know that all of those angles, I'm going to start with that one. I've got a 90-degree angle plus a 124 plus 150 plus 93 plus 130 plus x. Make sure I got them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of that adds up to be 720. 90 and 124 is 214. Let's see, that's 364, 367, 457, 487, 587. So 587 plus x equals 720. Subtract the 587 from both sides, and you get 133. And that's what x has to be. It's 133. And so I realize that at this point you've handed in your paper. You might not exactly remember exactly what you have, but I'm guessing you will be able to track along with this and go, okay, I think that's how I did it or not. Last one here. This is a four-sided figure, 1, 2, 3, 4. The total interior angles add up to be 360. So we add up all of this. 71 and 48 gives me 119 plus 112 more gives me 231 plus x equals 360. Subtract that, and I get that x is equal to 129 degrees. All right, moving on. Next set, very similar, okay? So 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 times 180 is 540 is the total. So we add up these angles that we've got. 130 and 54 is 184. 130 more is going to be 314 plus 97 is going to be 411, I think. 1, 2, 3. I kind of lost track there for a second, but I'm pretty sure it's 411. 411 plus x is equal to 540. So therefore, x would have to be 129. Yeah, that's right. It is 129. Okay, this next one's super duper easy. It's a right triangle. We know all the degrees add up to be 180, or all the angles add up to be 180, and we've already got this one's 90. So we know that this one and this one must add up to be the other 90. So really, you can go 90 minus 43 gives you 47, and that's what x would have to be. Okay? And the last one, of course, we got to go out with a bang, one with all sorts of sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sides. So we go 7 minus 2 times 180. 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 times 180 is 900 degrees. So we got to add all these up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600. Add up the inside. Let's see, 10, 45, 92, 120, 138, 143, 173. Is that right? So 173 plus 600 gives me 773. So I take that away from 900, and I get 117. 117 degrees, what x would have to be. Okay, I'm guessing you did all of those real easily. And we get to this one, it's real simple. 12-sided regular polygon. So you go, well, the measure of exterior angle, that's easy. That's always just going to be 360 divided by whatever we got, 12, which is going to be 30 degrees. Measure an interior angle. Well, I take 12, I subtract 2, multiply by 180. So 12 minus 2 is 10. 10 times 180 is 1,800. I got to take 1,800 and divide it by the 12 angles that I have, and I get 150. Now, I'm curious if anybody, I wish I was sitting in there with you all right now because I want to know, did anybody see the shortcut? And the obvious shortcut would be if the exterior angle is 30 degrees, the interior angle is always going to be supplementary to it. And so what I could have done is I could have just said, well, therefore I take 180 and subtract 30, and I get 150. And that's the right answer. But I chose to do the work and make sure I still got the same answer. Okay? All right. These are the problems that gave a lot of people issues. I'd love to be there right now and see the number of hands that people tell me they did this on their own, they got this on their own, or maybe they need a little bit of help. Doesn't matter. I'm just curious. Okay? It says the measure of the interior angle of a regular polygon is given. Find the number of sides. Okay, so these problems end up being really simple. I talked to some students, they said, well, I just kept figuring. I said, okay, if it had this many sides, nope, if it had this many sides, and they just kept guessing. The easiest way to do this one is to draw part of it. Okay, and I'm going to say that's part of it. Boy, that's really ugly. Let's try that again. Not that I'm going to do any better, but I'm going to say, okay, we're going to draw part of it. And we have no idea how many sides it really has. So I'm just going to draw part of it. And I'm going to say, I know that this angle right here is 120 degrees, okay? Which would mean that that exterior angle would have to be how big? Well, the two of them are always supplementary. So 180 minus 120 would give me 60 degrees is what that exterior angle. Now, what the interior angles all add up to be, that varies based on the number of sides. But the exterior angles always add up to 360 no matter what. So if the exterior angle is 60 degrees and they always add up to 360, I can just see how many 60s are there in 360. And so I could take 360 and divide it by 60. The zeros would cancel out. 36 over 6 is 6. So the answer to your question is, what is the number of sides? The number of sides this one would have to have, if it has that interior angle of 120, would be it has 6 sides. So this ends up being a really simple problem. We got to think our way through it. Think about this next one. We're saying the interior angle is 108. Don't know what that looks like, but we're going to say it's like this, 108. And then that would mean, what would the exterior angle have to be? Well, the exterior angle would have to be 72. So we take 360 and we divide it by 72. Now that might not seem like it goes in clean, but it actually goes in perfectly. And it comes out to be 5. So that would have to be the number of sides. The number of sides would be 5. And lastly, for this one, 135. Again, we can kind of draw part of it and say, well, this angle right here was 135. The exterior angle would have to be 45. And so then I can take 360 and divide it by 45, and I get 8. So therefore, the number of sides is 8. It's a regular octagon, like a stop sign. Every interior angle on a stop sign is 135 degrees, and every exterior angle is 45. Okay, hopefully that made sense, and those problems are really simple and easy for you to attack because you're going to get ready to do something very similar to them. All right, good luck and have fun.